What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning on the bottom of the map in the blue color, playing as Ra. His name is Kimo. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Kronos. His name is Mariano. A very exciting day today. We got a Kronos versus Ra matchup. We don't actually get to see this one very much, and let alone not get to see this one very much, we don't get to see Kimo having to deal with this one very much. And of all of the players out there, with all of the skills at their fingertips, Kimo's definitely got to be one of the best defenders in the game currently. So watching him try to deal with Kronos as Ra is going to be a really, really informative game. So definitely one to watch if you're a Ra player, and potentially one to watch if you're a Ra hater, because potentially Ra is going to get absolutely stomped here. I don't know. I haven't seen the result, but we do have an interesting matchup nonetheless. It's on the map Blue Lagoon. For those of you who do not know these players, I don't know where you've been. Get out from under the rock. Kimo is a multiple S-tier tournament winner in the Age of Mythology scene, and his opponent Mariano here, I'm not sure exactly what his results in S-tier tournaments are, but I do know that he was the #1 finisher in the Challengers League Season 1, which is many years ago now. It's going on like 3 years ago of in some regard. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't remember. Maybe even 4 years ago. I can't remember. But Mariano, obviously one of the top players to look out for in today's day and age. So a very, very good matchup here for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Talking a little bit about the strategy here in this matchup. The first thing you're hoping for as the Egyptian player here, as the Ra player, is that you get 2 sentry towers kind of on top of your home gold mine. This is probably as perfect as it's going to get for a Ra player against Atlantean here, is 2 sentry towers plus a Savannah tree line here. This is as perfect as it gets. So we'll have to wait and see what Kimo is going to do with it, given how good his defense actually is. You do have to remember that just because you've got these 2 sentry towers here, it doesn't mean you're actually safe, because this sentry tower here can get deconstructed, and then you're going to be in for a world of pain if your Kronos opponent decides to put a lot of pressure here onto this location here. But speaking of which, Mariano, he doesn't necessarily have to go aggressive right at that home location. He can actually hold off on being super aggressive for the second gold mine, where normally a Ra player can just drop a Migdol stronghold or 2 down on a gold mine. That doesn't really work against Kronos, because Kronos has got that deconstruction, which is going to allow him a timing to push in and cause a lot of problems for the Ra player. So we'll see what sort of angle Mariano wants to go for here. It looks like he's not going for a fast second town center, which I think might be kind of more of a standard way to play if you see your opponent having a gold mine like this, or even if you don't, it could be a good way to play. But the Oracle spotting this, sees the towers, sees the houses, sees the walls coming up here for Kimo. He's going to have to realize that there probably should be a different way to play here. Now, advancing fast to the classical age, like a 4:30 advance time, and then going for a second town center is also a good move, because it allows you to heroize your citizen that's building the town center. Say you want to grab this town center, and you can heroize your oracles, you can heroize your citizen, you can have a good game of it. We'll have to wait and see exactly what these guys are doing. Mariano has already time shifted his temple forward here as Kimo is advancing through Ptah. He's advancing through Ptah kind of late. No, I told a lie there. It's kind of right on time. 4 minutes and 30 seconds is about right. Though, that being said, I do think that there is somewhat of a timing, so to speak, for a Ra player and Egyptian player in general to be wanting to go up in this matchup at about 4 minutes and 2 seconds if you can, and have an advantage where that's concerned. As the temple gets deconstructed over here, and the villagers, he doesn't care. He's going straight for the town center. He's going to be utilizing that extra 100 gold he's gotten for something else as well, as the oracle's coming straight after the house in the main base. We'll see if Kimo is going to care about this or not. He's going for the town center. Town center getting empowered up, and Kimo is just like He literally full does not care. He's going to be sending his priest over here to try and defend this. The tower is under attack by the 2 oracles here as a barracks coming down now for Kimo. The Pharaoh coming in onto this position now to try and take out the remainder of these units. He's trying to focus down those oracles underneath the tower. Does in fact manage to do so here as the oracles are going down, and Mariano is allowing this town center to come up, which does mean a rhinoceros will be able to be eaten underneath this town center, which is an extra hunt for the Ra. More hunt is always good for the Ra player. Meanwhile, behind all of this, Mariano simply just pulls, is actually sending more units, more buildings in here, but to me it looks like he wants to grab a second town center with all the resources he has in the bank right now, but I haven't seen him kind of make an effort to drop that just yet. Still no houses down or anything like that either. So he's going to get housed fairly soon here as the military buildings dropping in onto this position. Kimo's now got his second town center up. You do see the Pharaoh moving forward, trying to check out exactly what's happening over here. Spots a Terma. Going to get a couple of shots off onto that Terma before probably retreating away as the Prometheans decide to get involved. They've got to be a little bit careful about where they're going, as Kimo is now deciding to do a 2 town center classical fight with Ra against the Kronos. We'll see if it's going to work out for him or if Mariano is going to have something that works in this game. If you see your opponent making Spearmen as Kronos, one of the big things you can do to take an advantage away or find an advantage is actually build those Cairo Ballast up. Little known fact is that Kronos does give an extra it does give an extra 0.4 speed to the Cairo Ballista, plus making them 10% cheaper, which is actually kind of a big deal when all is said and done here, as the villagers making their way out over onto the Rhinoceros here, and Kimo is searching around the map, trying to find cheeky raids with these 2 spearmen to shank away, jab away at those Rhino here. He's actually got that he's got that flag set right over here, as these citizens are going to be very unhappy to be disturbed. Meanwhile, pushing forward, the villagers jumping in and out of the Rhinoceros over here. We'll see how Mariano is going to be reacting to this as he drops his own mana on this position. The Spearmen trying to take these units out, but there is currently nothing over there to defend this. We will be seeing an attempt at sending those Terma across the map, but unlike Oranos Terma, the Kronos Terma and the Gaia Terma, if you run straight by a tower, the tower hits it for the most part there, as now 2 Spearmen are getting so much value here. I'm fairly sure that Mariano could just drop his citizen out and just shank down at this point, as his citizen do drop out onto this location. Kimo not paying attention here. He's currently fighting on this position over here as the priest trying to get in there, trying to take out the Promethean. One house goes down, making things very, very difficult over here as the villagers moving up onto this gold mine. And we do see the spearmen going after these citizens yet again, as the Terma coming over here to start shanking down as best as he possibly can. Pharaoh just about to be falling here, tries to micro that one back, keeping him alive with 5 HP remaining. Has to garrison here. He's going to lose the Pharaoh. No, he doesn't quite lose it. Pharaoh coming back into the fight, not getting targeted down. That's a lot of DPS coming Mariano's way here as he is trying to all in this position right now, as Axeman's starting to come out. Villagers getting involved in this fight over here, as the Pharaoh coming back in. Got to be careful not to miss micro that Pharaoh at this point with 5 HP remaining. It's could be a very, very close to falling here, as we do see a house getting dropped down on this position. The villager just about to fall, but manages to stay alive with 4 HP. Meanwhile, Citizen back onto the Rhinoceros over there. Terma going to be returning back onto this location. And Kimo has gotten so much value thus far in this defense. He's allowed Mariano to basically just go full ham, full send on this position without really gaining anything. He's just losing units at this point. Sure, Kimo's losing a little bit of gather time if he pulls his villagers, but he hasn't really lost any villagers thus far either, and he is just happily mining away at this gold mine. 1,200 gold remaining, and now the classical units coming through. We do see cheeky shifting sands over there. Takes a lot of those Promethean offspring away, but only pulls really 2 units into the box trap at this point, as that's got to have been Kimo's main the main thing that Kimo was trying to do in this matchup and why he feels like he can defend so much is definitely just that fact he's got that shifting sands up his back sleeve. But in this position here, Kimo really didn't get much value out of that. He's going to start losing a lot of villagers here as well. So that Pharaoh here, it's still very low on the HP, but it's going to be helping out a ton here as the army trying to push through, trying to do exactly what he can. As Mariano has to pull back his villagers over here. It's just about Kimo, is just about out of herdables at this point, as Mariano is continuing to put the pressure on. What can Kimo do at this point? He's got 1,000 1,000 gold left in the bank, so he can spam farms here. He does have rain, but if he makes farms, I don't know if he can hold on to it, as the villagers, they're going to start moving across the map, going to attempt to grab this hunt over here, as we do see these, these Promethean offsprings hanging out in this position, but they're going to miss those villagers sneaking out of Kimo's base at this point, as the villagers still getting shot down on this gold mine. Does he have himself his upgrade yet? He does have his upgrade. Kimo has gotten himself Skin of the Rhino now. Those villagers are going to be very tough to kill. Villagers making their way out onto this granary as well. This is such a absolute ballsy play. There's really not that much hunt left on this position either, but he's pushing out. He's going to grab that as best as he possibly can. There is a gold mine here as well for him to jump onto, so these villagers that are mining out this gold mine can actually jump onto farms after this as an idea, and we'll see how that's going to go, as Kimo's still trying to push out of his main base here. Mariano is just happily pumping units. He's pretending, he is utilizing the Kronos bonus of myth units and Kyra ballast here, but in all honesty, this is a very, very Aranos style that we do see from Aranos players here, as the villagers running forward trying to shank down those Kyra ballasts, but Mariano does not allow that for the time being, as the priest coming through here for Kimo, starting to get some good damage done onto those Promethean. You do have to micro them a little bit if you want to actually take the Promethean offspring out. We haven't seen it just yet, as the villagers and Promethean going to be retreating back. We'll see how things will unfold here, as Kimo's score is getting further and further out of control. This gold mine just about finishing up, and we do see that Kimo now, he's grabbing a third town center in the face of every little bit of pressure that's coming into him at this point. Kimo says, no worries, third town center time. I'm going to grab that. It's going to mean that my gold mine's a lot more safe. Give it a bit of a distraction action over there. If Mariano wants to push up onto this position, I can push forward and grab this gold mine. Really, really smart defensive play here from Kimo thus far. He's really controlling the pace, even though he's on the defense somehow, some way here, as the slingers are pushing forward. And Kimo now says, you know what? I'm not even after gold at this point. I just want this elephant. I want these this granary here. And with the 3 town centers, he does need to get food to build villages, but if he can win this fight here, he's going to grab this food. He's going to be able to rebuild those lost villages incredibly quickly, as he sends the villagers forward to start trying to shank down the Kyra ballast. He is losing a lot of them, but does it matter is the real question at this point, as the town center comes up. Farms getting dropped down over here. He does have a whole bunch of villagers on that on those farms over here, and Kimo, he's going to be pulling back. He lost all of those villagers that were pushed forward there. It was probably only about 10. You do have to remember Kimo was on 2 town centers, probably spamming villagers out quite fast, as now his farms coming up. He's got 0% on all of his town centers at this moment, but he's about to click rain. He's about to have a lot of food income, and Mariano at this point, he is fuming that he allowed this town center to get up uncontested. In order to get over onto this gold mine here, he has to go all the way around here, but he does have a couple of units to come in and start harassing this gold mine, as Kimo's only grabbed 600 gold out of here. Not that big of a problem, as the villagers getting taken out fairly fast. We'll see how things are going to go, as Kimo's starting to get picked off on this location. We do see the slingers coming through here, as Kimo says, yeah, this location is completely fine. Starting to see some walls come through, and now he does go for the rain at this moment here. As Mariano's still pushing in on this position. He's kind of sacrificing some units here, but Kimo, I mean, he's starting to get closer and closer to full pop, and now the Wadgets coming through. Wadgets are so scary for a classical age Kronos at this point. Like, you can't deal with Wadgets as Atlantean is basically the thing until you have, unless you've got a bunch of Valors remaining, or you've got access to Contarius heroes, or like basically heroic ages when you can start dealing with those myth units a little bit easier. But right now, these Wadgets are just going to go to town on these Atlantean units. It's such a smart move by Kimo here. As Mariano, he's trying to get to the next age. He's got the food to go there. He's getting himself the second town center. He dropped farms while that was all going on. Terma running across the map here, trying to get back involved, but Kimo's population is too high right now. And yes, he's basically just got Slingers and Wadget, but Mariano's basically just got Terma at this point, so it's a great trade. Not only that, the priests in this army for Kimo as well are really tough to pick off for Atlantean. Kimo's finding a really, really nice army composition here to kind of deal with what Mariano's doing at this point, and he has managed to push Mariano back immediately here. And what else? Well, eventually, not immediately. It's been like, what, 6-8 minutes? I don't know. But he's managed to push Mariano back. Mariano's on the back foot. He's not able to get to the next age. He's pulling everything back, dropping the armory down, getting his second town center up. And Kimo here, I imagine, will be looking to go to the next age very, very shortly. Happily grabbing this gold one over here. He might be fully popped. No, he's still building villages, just not building villages out of this town center. Starts it again now. But Kimo is about to get a very, very strong economy going at this point. As Mariano here is trying to rebuild all of his units out, but he pops out of the building straight through Kimo's units here. He's going to take a bunch of hits there as he retreats back. 104 of 130 population. Everyone back into the main base over here as the villagers for Mariano going for the third town center. There is a world where Kronos can kind of, I don't even know if there is. I feel like I'm lying trying to say this, but there's a world where late game Kronos can beat Ra. Generally speaking, what normally ends up happening when Kronos beats a Ra that's in the Mythic Age is that the Kronos player had some sort of map control advantage, some sort of army advantage at some point earlier in the game to allow them to start doing stuff like time shifting in Palace and just being absolutely obnoxious with everything. But in this position, Kimo is so far ahead that even if Kimo doesn't end up winning the game in the next like 2-3 minutes, Mariano, he's got a mountain to climb here to pull himself back into this game. He does have the resources to advance to the next age. Just about to be able to do that. Converting some units into heroes to grab a relic over here as he does find that Harmonious Necklace can allow him to get a little bit more gold in the bank. As we see a temple getting dropped over here. There's a temple over here you could time shift or something like that. As Kimo trying to break through, going up through Segment here. This is something we see more and more from Ra players, but I think against gods like Gaia and gods like Gaia and Kronos, where they've got access to Rhea, I actually don't think this segment's the best idea because it's a really big, high target siege unit. It's really tough for Egyptian to kill in the Scarab that you're basically giving over to the Rhea user. But we are seeing Hyperion coming through, which means there's not going to be really any problems where that's concerned. But the point still kind of stands as Kimo moving around trying to figure out where to best utilize his army as he's seeing some walls trying to get dropped. I imagine watchtowers might come through here as well as the Kimo army coming through, getting a couple of shots over here. There's the watchtowers coming in as the Wadgets, they just absolutely melt everything here. As Sekhmet does pop for Kimo, he's going to have I'm surprised he doesn't have more food in the bank at this moment. He's got 30 villagers on food here. He's going to be getting himself that upgrade on the farm straight away. Irrigation going to allow him to get a lot more food income moving forward. There's the army coming through here to try and take down the military barracks on that position. There's the Hyperion popping for Mariano there. As the market getting popped over onto this location here. And the pallet's going to be moving over here for Mariano, trying to make sure he's staying alive. It's kind of obvious here that Mariano knows he's behind here, and he is just trying to muster up some sort of an economic advantage. But he's so far behind on villagers, even if he's full villagers right now, which he is. But he's behind on villagers because Kimo has been at like max villagers for so long here. Because Kimo's been on 3 town centers for a very, very long time. As the Axeman coming through onto this position, trying to take out the temple over here, but they're just going to get picked off. We do see the trade route is up already for Kimo as he's trying to spam that trade out. One of the big things that Kimo playing Ra at this point, he's making a slight mistake, and this is something that I don't think people will 100% realize with Ra, and it's a big thing, is that Ra priests, they give an extra 15% in terms of gather rate onto your villagers. So if a Ra priest is empowering 10 villagers, it's worth 1.5 extra villagers on that resource, right? So if you empower, say you empower like a town center with 12 farms on it, you're starting to get closer to that 2 extra population. So you can actually artificially push your income up by of villagers up by 2 villagers here, 2 villagers there. It's still costing 2 population. It's very rare for you to actually make that trade-off, like not be like population efficient. If it is like two population in priest with I think it's like 15 villagers dumping into the town center would make it population efficient, but there's not really a way to make that really work. As we do see the Kontarius coming in onto this position right now, as they are very scary. We do have heavy spearmen already coming out for Kimo to try and deal with this. Kontarius, while they are really, really strong against archers and even like counter infantry, like spearmen, they are a really hard counter to them. Unlike the Hippocon, for whichever reason, I think maybe they've got a little bit less armor or less HP or something. It always feels like spearmen kind of do really nicely here. But now, look at this. Kimo's got 1,600 gold in the bank, and he is ready to start spamming mercenary cavalry at this point. As the Kimo army is going to be retreating back, even with 31 villagers on food. You can see how low his food is at this point. Meanwhile, Mariano is also very low on the food. Plenty of wood in the bank. We'll see if he's going to start spamming some more buildings out. He's got a little bit of gold left, trying to make out those Satel, which are really, really strong here as well. As the spearman trying to break through in onto this position, but I think the best play here for Kimo has to just be go Mythic Age, get himself Osiris, and start getting a little bit more set up on this position with like a Migdol Stronghold or something, and then the Son of Osiris and everything else behind it. As you can actually see that slowly but surely, Mariano is actually catching up in this position. Mariano is actually catching up at the moment. As the Kontari is coming through here, this score is getting closer and closer here. So Mario's actually like, you'd have to say that had Mariano not gone so absolutely crazy on the attacking and not throwing away so many units, he may have been able to simply just be in a good position in this game after the initial damage was done. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong there, but Mariano here is actually managing to fight his way back here, and we'll see if Kimo can keep it going. He is going up through Osiris here, so there will be the Son of Osiris, which is going to be a very big pain for the Urano or for the Kronos Atlantean player here to deal with. However, with this many Kontarius, Kimo's got to be careful. He can't move that Son of Osiris out into the open at all, because those Kontarius, they're relatively quick with 5.75 speed, and they can actually get around and surround the Son of Osiris, picking him off very, very fast. As Kimo dropping some more walls over here, as the Spearman trying to hold on the back, as it looks like Kimo wants to control the rest of this map, making his gold mine nice and safe over here. He hasn't actually defended his bottom trade route just yet, but he's starting to put walls up over here and make that all work at the top side of the map here as siege towers rolling in to try try and take out the palace over here. Meanwhile, Mariano, he's going up through Atlas. And this is a... that is not a good chaos there. Kimo dropping chaos on this position just after Osiris comes. You know that a mummy is coming, and chaosing a mummy is kind of big value as the siege tower is pushing in. But Atlas is going to be huge here because as we do see a bit of a raid coming onto this palace, if Mariano clicks the implode onto the Son of Osiris, gets the Son of Osiris sucked in, and goes for the surround after the big boom, he actually can pick that off. As we do see, look at these Contaris coming through for Mariano. He's in search of the Son of Osiris, but look at this Kimo. He's sending the Son of Osiris directly next to that siege tower. He can very easily garrison it, but Kimo's not paying attention here as the Son of Osiris getting targeted down here. Mariano's not fully surrounded him just yet, but he's getting close as we do see a slight movement there from the Son of Osiris. It's getting taken down very, very fast here. The town center goes down. Son of Osiris gets picked off at lightning speed here, and Mariano might be able to find himself some sort of an equalization here with the implode. After all is said and done, he does lose all of those Contarius, but an implode is soon to be being dropped here. We are also seeing raids coming through onto these villages over on that corner while this is all going on, and Kimo is still trying to push forward. Implode getting dropped down onto this position. All of these spearmen will be falling here. Same too for the chariot archers. You cannot run away from implode. It takes, if you're that close to it, it just pulls everyone in. Kimo's population now going to drop down. He's at 150, 4 of 170, 147, 140. It's going down and down and down, and boom, there we go. We'll see if the thing that Mariano needs now, he needs to get himself this town center back. He doesn't have access to the vortexes, which are almost necessary. You 100% need vortexes here in this matchup, but he doesn't have access to it now because he's gone through Atlas. But if he can get this town center back, he can still do time shift shenanigans here, and he just needs to figure out how he can defend against this Egyptian army as the Argus pushes in. Look at that micro there from Mariano. He actually pulled that Argus back up to this top location, allowed the mummy to use the special, and then ran the mummy down with his Argus. Perfect play there from Mariano. He's making this defense look way easier than it is at this point as Kimo's still rolling through. The big thing that Kimo can do here is actually just get himself a catapult. If you can get a catapult here with maybe a tower or two, some walls, a box around the catapult, something like that, then the town center can be denied for a very, very long time here. As Kimo, he's back up to full population, going for raids with those spearmen up to the top corner of the map. As the siege tower comes back in, it's going to be able to take that town center down here. And not only that, the scary part for Mariano is that while the town center is down, he doesn't have the population to get it back up, and mercenary are just going to keep flooding in to this area, causing problem after problem for Mariano here. And in that moment, Mariano taps out, unable to pull this game back from the brink. You can see he's up to champion Arcus. He's got medium destroyers. His armory upgrades, they're not that great compared to Kimo's here, but they're not that bad either. And he was climbing back up just one step at a time, just trying to inch his way back into this game. But Kimo would have none of that, man. Managed to take this town center down was everything, and that was it. Once the town center's down, Kimo's never going to let that get back up. Too much of a high caliber player to allow that, and Mariano cannot get the dub here. What a game here from Kimo. I just love that it's almost disrespect to a degree because Mariano just couldn't get in onto this gold mine. I feel like had Mariano not used deconstruction on the temple and used deconstruction on the tower here, this game could have been a very, very different game in terms of that one town center aggression that Mariano was trying to do. But in the end here, he just didn't really get the damage done in the early game that he needed to. He allowed Kimo to get his advantage from that second town center, and that's the game. If you guys enjoyed this one, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.